and welcome to How to Boil Water. I'm Susan Kranwinkle, and this is the kitchen. If you don't know your way around, you've definitely come to the right place. This show is for anyone who, until now, has only learned to make reservations and maybe a sandwich. And in the coming weeks, we'll conquer your kitchen fears once and for all. You'll discover how easy it is to whip up some basic recipes and some tasty treats. We'll also go over all the tools of the trade, and finally we'll prepare you for the ultimate test, the day you can invite someone over for dinner and not out for dinner. Now, what we're going to start with is boiling water. And over here we have our pot of water, and look down in there, see those little tiny bubbles? That's a simmer. And a lot of times when you don't know what the recipe calls for in simmer or boiling, this is the simmer, just little tiny bubbles. Now in here we have our boiling water, and when you're making pasta, spaghetti with a fancy name, or when you're doing vegetables or anything like that, you want your water boiling. And we are going to use this water for some spaghetti. So what we're going to do, now look at that nice boil there. It's really bubbling. It's breaking the surface. We already have a little olive oil in there because this is our pasta water. I'm also going to put a little salt in there, and I always do that when I'm cooking vegetables or when I'm making pasta, and the reason is because my mother always did, and her pasta and spaghetti taste wonderful. So I'll add some salt. I've already added the olive oil, and you can use vegetable oil or olive oil. The reason you want olive oil when you're doing pasta is it gives a little flavor, but it also keeps the pasta from sticking together. But as we've been sitting here talking, this water is almost bubbling down to a simmer, and I want it to be really boiling when I put the pasta in. So I'm going to cover that for a few minutes, maybe give it another minute. We'll come back to it, drop in our pasta as soon as it's boiling, and that just makes the pasta cook better. If you put it in now, it just wouldn't cook as well. So always have your water boiling. And when you're bringing your water to a boil, always cover it. It is much faster, holds the heat in there, and that's the way to do it. So let's go over here and look at a couple of the tools of the trade, and these are your knives. Now, I don't think you need to go out and buy any fancy knives. I think you need to use what's in your kitchen. This happens to be a wonderful chef's knife that was in this kitchen here. It looks good. It's very handsome, has a nice long blade this way. I never use my chef's knife. I do have one at home, and it really looks very nice in the knife holder over here. But everybody feels they kind of have to have one of these. I wouldn't bother with it. This one is a boning knife, and this is great when you're boning chicken, if you're going to be boning chicken. We'll do that later on, and we'll probably do it with our fingers. But if somebody gives you a boning knife, use it. Nice, long blade. We'll keep it nice and sharp. Now, this is a little paring knife, and they can be expensive or cheap. Everybody needs a paring knife. Again, we'll keep it nice and sharp. But I'm going to show you my two favorite knives that I've brought from home. I don't know what you call this knife. It's someplace between the French knife that we had over there. It's short. They don't make it anymore, so you couldn't possibly go out and buy it. This came from my cooking school in Pasadena. I used to have a cooking school, and one of the things we did was bone chicken. And everybody brought a chicken and a knife. Don't worry, we're not going to bone chicken for a long, long time, but it's kind of fun to learn how to do it. But somebody left this knife at my house. I love it. I have been 15 years, I've lived in fear that someone's going to call up and say, hey, that's my knife, but I hope to keep it forever. It has Dione Lucas on it. She happened to be the first woman, about 1950s, in New York City that did cooking classes. She was way ahead of her time. But anyway, if you're missing a Dione Lucas knife, forget it, because the statute of limitations has run out and it's mine. I like it because it's nice to chop this way, and I'm going to be doing everything with it. Now we need to go over and take a look at our boiling water over here. And again, just glance a little bit if you can. Here's the simmering water. We don't want to put pasta in there. But look at this boiling water, rapid water. We'll take our pasta, break it in half if you can, drop it in there, maybe a little bit more. And in this case, I'm not going to cover it. I'm just going to let it come back to a boil and count about 7 minutes. And we're going to show you later on how to test it. Actually, this isn't coming back to a boil very fast, so I might cover it. But watch it. It's got a little olive oil in there. It might tend to boil over, so take a look at it. And then when we come back, we are going to pick up this knife, and we're going to start chopping garlic. And when we return, we'll also show you how to take care of your knives, how to sharpen them, how to wash them, and how not to put them in the dishwasher. And we'll start making a sauce.
Debbie Fields of Mrs. Fields Cookies is serving up some of the most mouth-watering recipes you've ever tasted. From cookies and cakes to pies and tarts, Debbie's creations range from the simple to the simply spectacular. So indulge in TV's most sinful half hour, The Dessert Show, weeknights on the TV Food Network.
That's what's cooking on cable for you.
Tonight at 8:30.
You're so now, so bright, so you. Just mix things up a bit and create a stir. Bird's Eye, the fresh look for vegetables.
Getting these things open shouldn't be like... Oh, what'll it take to pop this top? Can't someone pull it off?
Rubbermaid just made food storage easy with new Easy Tops containers made with amazing tops that are a cinch to open and a snap to close. And like all our containers, they've got that great Rubbermaid seal. So keeping food fresh is as easy as Easy Tops from Rubbermaid. Nothing's better made.
You've got two choices with many dryer sheets. Clothes can smell overwhelming or like nothing at all. But new Gentle Breeze Bounce leaves just a hint of springtime freshness. Introducing new Gentle Breeze Bounce, when a light scent is the right scent.
I want my TV. 57 channels and still nothing interesting.
I want my TV.
Fed up with TV you have to hide from the kids?
I want my TV.
The TV Food Network. Cooking, dining, news, talk, and health.
I want my TV.
I want my TV.
The TV Food Network is TV.
I want my TV.
Hi, welcome back to How to Boil Water. I'm Susan Kranwinkle. Now that we know how to pick out a knife, I've got a few sharp ideas on how to keep them that way. One of the things you want to do is never put your knife in the dishwasher. I put almost everything except for myself in the dishwasher, but not your knife. It will loosen up these rivets and it will make the whole handle come off. And that's the same for your big knife, my favorite knife, or for your little paring knife. And keeping them sharp is really important. I think it is much more dangerous to have a dull knife in your kitchen than a nice sharp one. And you can do a couple of things. You can take them to a professional sharpener every so often, but then they get really sharp, and I don't like to do that. There's a butcher in my hometown of Pasadena, and when I would take my knives, he would sharpen them for me about once a month or so. So you make good friends with your butcher. Or you can buy one of those electric ones that work perfectly fine, and you just go in and out and in and out and in and out on those every now and then. It works great. Sometimes these little countertop ones are great too. Just have them out there, and every time you want to sharpen your knife, just run it down there. Sharpens right in that V, and it works very, very well. So we'll put that aside, and we are going to start chopping. This is a nice big head of garlic. We're going to make garlic and a little tomatoes, a little onion, and carrot sauce. start with our garlic. I always like to get the big head of garlic. We need to separate it. So pick up your olive oil or whatever you've got around. Give it a nice big bash. And sometimes you need to bash it even again. Smash it just like that. And what I do is then keep all of these little cloves here, separate it from all this stuff, and you've got these nice big cloves. Ooh, and there's one that's kind of yucky. We'll put that aside. Scrape that away. And then you have these cloves, and I just keep those in a plastic bag kind of in the counter close by. When I want one, I have a nice big clove of garlic. Now I'm going to have to do the same thing to this garlic that I did to the head. So I'll take the olive oil. Don't scrunch it too hard or it smashes it into your breadboard. But just give it a little bang like that. And then that outside stuff just comes off really nicely. I much prefer to do this than to use a garlic press, because your garlic press often has Play-Doh or something like that if your kids have been working with it in it. So I'll pick up my favorite knife and I'm going to chop the garlic, and you'll just go back and forth, keep these little fingers curled under, or you can do it this way. You can buy garlic in a jar, and I don't like it. I really think that this fresh garlic is absolutely the best, and you could always get fresh garlic. There's no reason that you, no excuse that you can't do it. So we'll have our garlic right there. I'm going to pop it in my saute pan, which is here. I'm also going to put some olive oil in the saute pan. It doesn't really matter if I put it in now or later, but I love garlic, so I'm going to put another clove of garlic in there. I think you could never have too much garlic or too much money. Separate it just like that. Off comes the little shredded part. We'll chop this just like this. You could even add 3 garlic cloves. In fact, usually when I see a recipe, I add twice as many garlic cloves as what they call for. This scoops up on my favorite knife, and in it goes. These will go into my plastic bag. We'll put those aside. Now I'm going to chop an onion for you. And if you're like me, I'm practically allergic to these just to pick them up. It makes my eyes water. There are a lot of things you can do. People have told me that if you put a piece of bread in your mouth, that while you're chopping, that keeps the fumes from coming to your eyes, and that works okay. If you chop this under running water, it supposedly will work and not make you cry, but I found chopping under running water is a little hard to do. So somebody else gave me this wonderful trick, and I'm going to show it to you, and you're going to have to practice it at home in the privacy of your home. And this is what you'll do. First, we'll cut off the end right here. Pull off the shredded part. I like to use the Spanish onions because they're a little stronger than the white onions. That's really up to you. You can get the sweet Vidalia onions if you want to, or the Washington Walla Wallas, however you want to do it. I can already feel that. Now, what you're going to do when you get your onion to this point, you are going to take your tongue and put it between your lip and your tooth. And you have to hold it there the whole time. You can't answer the phone. You can't yell at your kids or anybody running around in your kitchen. And I promise you, you won't cry. So this is the way you do it. And I can't do it absolutely because I do have to talk a little bit more. But you put your tongue right there, right like that. Hold it there. I'll do it again. And you try it when you make your onions tonight. You just go like that. And it really, really works. So what we'll do is pretend that I'm doing that. Cut the onion in half. Hold your tongue up underneath between your teeth and your lip. And we're going to just turn this onion like this. Curl your fingers here so they don't get in the way of the knife. Do the same thing here. I flattened the onion out. Take the knife, go back and forth, curl my fingers, turn this again, and just go back and forth like that. Here again, you don't have to get all this onion just chopped perfectly. Just go back and forth. I can feel the fumes are coming. Meanwhile, at home, when you're doing this, you're holding your tongue right like that. And we'll put this onion in there. again, just scoop it right there, stick it there, scoop this up on your knife, get all that garlic there. Now, we'll add a little olive oil right here, and just, about a tablespoon will do, just like that. Put it over on your, here's a clove of garlic that made it all the way over to the sink, over to the stove. We're going to put this over here on our burner and start to stir it a little bit. You don't have to stir it this whole time. We're just going to saute, and what we'll do is just use our wooden spoon, mix it up a little bit. Thing I like about wooden spoons is they can go right on the side like that. Doesn't have to be on high. Let's peek real quick at our pasta here. And I think it's just about done. It's nice and limp, and we'll show you how to test it when we come back. But speaking of knives, over here, we have to cut away for a minute. And when we come back, we'll be ready to make your first meal, a quick and easy spaghetti dinner topped with your own delicious tomato sauce. It's so good, it won't stick around long, but we hope that you do.
Isn't it time you lightened up? Your meals, that is.
So I'm Curtis Akins, just raring to go.
Curtis Akins shows you how to cook and eat healthier as he turns up the heat without using meat.
It's real simple.
Meals without meat.
Watch me every day and I'll give you some.
If you've got a passion for produce, learn how to be a garden gourmet.
Ooh, all right. Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
Watch Meals Without Meat, only on the TV Food Network.
Tonight at 9.
I tried a lot of other diets, but they didn't work for me. This is a new lifestyle. This is a new way of being. If Jenny Craig were to walk through that door right now, I would most definitely thank her for what she taught me. Ah! Oh my gosh! Here I am!
You look pretty good.
Thank you, Jenny. Just thank you so very much.
Well, we couldn't have done it without you.
After my divorce, I was up to my neck in debts and lost all my credit cards. I thought I'd never get a credit card again. With First Consumers National Bank, I got a Secured and More MasterCard, plus benefits other cards didn't offer.
I won't kid you. My credit was bad, but I've done my homework on secured credit cards. FCNB is the only bank to offer a credit line that's 150% of deposit, without processing fees.
Now you can get the credit you need, regardless of past credit problems, with the Secured and More MasterCard. Apply now and get advantages like no application or processing fees, plus quick approval and no annual fee for 6 months. You need only a $100 minimum for a credit limit that's 150% of your deposit. And your deposit is protected for you in an FDIC-insured certificate of deposit account.
I could never save enough for the required deposit, but FCNB's $100 minimum is a lot lower than the rest.
Call now for a free Secured and More MasterCard application and start building your credit future.
Welcome back. I'm Susan Kranwinkle, and this is How to Boil Water, the show for people who know where their kitchen is but don't know how to use it. All that is about to change Italian style. We've sauteed our onion and garlic here, and you can see how the onion has gotten a little limp and the garlic's all mixed in there together. Now we need a few more vegetables to make that a vegetable sauce. So we'll go over here and we'll take one of these really nice, gorgeous tomatoes, use our wonderful little paring knife, cut out the center, and very coarsely chop this tomato with my favorite knife again, just like this. You don't have to do it perfectly because it's all going to get kind of mushed up in the cooking anyway. And we'll turn this over. You don't have to peel it if you don't want to this time. You can if you're a little fussy about the peeling, and we'll show you another time. But there's our tomato. Let's take a carrot and cut a few little carrots to go in there too, kind of nice and fine. Can you see why I love this knife? It just does everything for you. And that ought to be enough carrot. Now I'm going to carry this over to my saute pan and drop it in there. I'm going to pick this all up, and it will be cooking on high for a little bit till those tomatoes kind of mush down a bit. Now what we'll do is stir that, and you need a few seasonings in there. So I'm going to add just a little bit of dried oregano. You can use fresh if you want to, but this happens to be dried. A little dried parsley, whatever you want. If it looks like there's not going to be enough juice in there, we could add a little more olive oil or a little water from our pasta pot. I'll put my spoon right there, and we'll go over and test our pasta. Boiling away here, take the top off. There are a couple different ways that you tell if your pasta is ready. And one of the things you're going to do is when it's like this and it's sort of boiled, come to the top. That means it has absorbed water, and so it's going to float a bit. When it's nice and limp like this, look how limp that is. That means it's probably just about ready. But the final test is a taste, and you really do have to pick it up, give it a chew. If it's still real hard, it needs to cook some more. This is nice and soft. Now, when I was cooking at home and my kids were there, I used to do a test that I thought was really fun. I think it's a Julia Child test. And you pick up the pasta, and you throw the pasta against the wall behind your stove. If it sticks, then the pasta is ready. If it falls off and drops on the floor, then the pasta's not. And I always did that. My kids enjoyed it. My son went off to Paris for a year as an exchange student, and he told his French mother that he was with that that's what everybody in the United States did, was throw the pasta against the wall. And she thought it was the most wonderful thing in the world. I think she's still doing it. But try it. You can do it. Anyway, this is ready to go. But before I take this over to the colander, my sauce here is boiling or cooking away a little too fast. So I'll give it a stir, and I'll turn it down a little bit. Now, always use hot pads when you're going with your pasta because it's hot. We'll take this over to our colander, and we'll pour that in the colander. Let it drain. The colander may be hot too, so pick it up and really let your pasta drain well. And my paper towel, my towel in there is going to dry a little bit off. But can you see? It's still, there's water still running out. You don't want that water in your pasta sauce. And the steam is good for your complexion, you know. So we'll drop that right in there, and maybe that's a little more pasta than we have sauce for. We'll put that over there. Clean this up just a teeny bit. Go back to our sauce, and it's looking pretty good. You always want to taste at the end, and probably you need a little salt and pepper. So I know that I haven't added any. I'm going to add just a little bit more. A little bit of pepper, and it smells good. This is a quick sauce. I'm going to take this over, put it on top of my pasta, just like this. And there's your sauce. You can have that in just about 15 minutes by the time you come home. Okay? I'm going to take a little taste in a minute. And there you have it, our home-cooked meal on our first show. The kitchen isn't a scary place after all, is it? Especially when you're holding your chef knife. And if you would like to receive any of the recipes on how to boil water, send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Boil Water, P.O. Box 5458, New York, New York, 10185. Next time, we'll slice and dice our way to a great salad using that kitchen contraption that many of us own, but a lot of us don't know how to use, the food processor. It's more than just a nice wedding present. It's actually a useful tool. I'm Susan Kranwinkle, hoping that your favorite pot never boils over, just your enthusiasm. See you tomorrow.
Hot stuff coming through next TV Diners over the